The Truth of Girls.
Hi everyone. Well, usually when you think of forced abortions, you probably think of something that happened a long time ago in the States, or that happens maybe in places like China. But actually, it's still kind of happening now in the United States. There's a judge in Nevada who's considering forcing a 32-year-old woman to have an abortion and be sterilized. Her name is Elisa Bauer, and she's 32 years old, and she has an IQ of 42, which is quite low. And she lives in a group home, but she had been sneaking out to go to a truck stop where she'd been having sex with men. And so that's how she got pregnant. Now, her parents are her legal guardians. They have guardianship over her, and they make all decisions, including medical decisions, for her. They're Catholic, and they don't want her to have an abortion. And she also doesn't want to have an abortion, as far as I can understand, but she has an IQ of 42. The parents don't want her to have an abortion, and they have actually found 6 couples who are willing to adopt her baby. But the judge still wants her to have an abortion, and he says for medical reasons, even though there's nothing really wrong with her other than that she's retarded, and she also has a seizure disorder, but she hasn't had a seizure in 5 years, according to her own GP. So the risk for her baby is very low. And it is kind of ironic that you would say it's too risky for your baby to be carried by you, so we're going to kill it. I don't know what kind of logic that is, but there is a petition right now that you can sign, and I'm not sure how much the petition's really accomplished, but at the very least it would let the judge know how people feel about this. Here's why I think that at the very least sign the petition and draw attention to this, circulate this information, please, because this is a dangerous door to open. It could be a very slippery slope. You start with anyone who has a medical condition where you might get people to say, yeah, they shouldn't be allowed to have a child, so let's sterilize them. And then the next thing is that bar gets lowered and lowered and lowered. And the next thing, it's somebody who's had a drug problem, or somebody who has a psychiatric condition, or someone who maybe has been found to be an unfit parent in the past. Maybe they'll just say, you've proven yourself to be an unfit parent, and you have lost your right to reproduce, and then they'll just sterilize you. It really could be anyone, and I think this is very dangerous. I think the judges should not go anywhere near this kind of an issue. This is not up to the judge. The parents have the right to make these decisions for their daughter. And if they're concerned about her getting pregnant in the future, they could probably help her to get some kind of birth control, or there are other ways to prevent pregnancy besides sterilization. See, this is a really important issue because the globalist elites who run the world are eugenicists and depopulationists, and they're quite open about that. And they also run our national governments. They are kind of shadow government. And there are open eugenicists, depopulationists in the government, such as John P. Holdren, the science czar, who in his book Eco-Science said that people should be forced to take birth control, and maybe sterilants could be added to the water. And there's also Rahm Emanuel, who once came up with a formula to place a value on a human life, as in evaluate their worth, and a newborn is evaluated as being less valuable than a 14-year-old because society has invested more in that 14-year-old over the years of his life. And so throw now the Obamacare, mandatory health care plans, mandatory buying insurance, giving the government a lot of control over your health care, your health care decisions. And so if you throw into that mix also setting the precedence of judges being allowed to order women to abort their babies, well, you could be in a lot of trouble. I think you're giving the government way too much power over your reproductive rights and your healthcare, in your health and your healthcare in general. But when people talk about reproductive rights, a lot of times they're actually talking about your right not to reproduce. But let's not forget that the right to reproduce should just be a fundamental right that human beings have, and that the government should stay out of it. So I guess what we can do for now is to sign the petition and let them know that we care and that this is wrong, and we don't want the government to go down that road, and we don't want the eugenicists to get more of a foothold than they already have. So I'm going to sign the petition. I hope you do too. And thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.